Welcome to Work Fluent.
Come on in, get comfortable. This one's for you.
Quick question. Would you rather do a video call or a phone call for something genuinely important?
Video every time. No contest.
Why?
Because on video, I can see if they're following me. I can see the little nod, the slight frown, the moment they check their phone. On a phone call, I get nothing. Just silence. And silence tells you nothing.
That's exactly it. On video, even if you freeze up mid-sentence, you can smile, you can gesture, you can buy time with your face. On a phone call, dead air is just dead air, stretching out with nothing filling it. There's nowhere to hide.
And people assume phone calls are easier because there's less pressure. No camera, no outfit, no background to worry about. But actually, it strips away every tool you didn't know you were using, and most people only realize that mid-call when it's already too late to prepare.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I once spent an entire important call convinced the other person had hung up on me. They hadn't. They were just nodding along, which on a phone call is completely useless information to me.
And I'm Sarah, and the second I can't see a face confirming I'm making sense, I start talking noticeably faster than I mean to.
AI can transcribe a call after it happens. It can even summarize what was said. What it can't do is sit on the line with you in real time and tell you whether that silence means they're thinking or they're annoyed or the call just dropped.
You're completely on your own with just your voice, no safety net, and no second chance to fix a bad first impression once it's already out there.
So today, we're doing one full phone call, start to finish. Dialing in, handling silence without panicking, reading tone with your ears instead of your eyes, and closing the call clearly when you can't see if they're satisfied or not.
And by the end of this episode, you'll walk away with 8 real moves you can use starting tomorrow, a full word tour of everything we cover so it actually sticks, and 1 piece of homework to practice today's topic.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning. The call connects, and there's that first half second where nobody's said anything yet. What actually happens in your head in that moment?
Total blank, if I'm honest. On video, you'd smile and wave while your brain catches up. On the phone, you have to speak immediately, and whatever comes out is the whole first impression, no visual softening it.
So what's the actual fix?
A prepared opening line, word for word, so you're not composing anything live in that first vulnerable second. Hi, this is Ryan calling about the delivery schedule. Is now still an okay time to talk? Simple, clear, and it's already decided before the call even connects.
I like that it also checks timing. Because unlike video, where you can usually see if someone looks busy, on a phone call you genuinely don't know if you've caught them at a bad moment.
Right. Asking outright does the job your eyes would normally do.
Let's talk about silence next, because I think this is the single biggest source of panic on a phone call. Someone goes quiet, and your brain fills that silence with the worst possible story.
It's such a specific kind of anxiety. On video, a quiet person might just be nodding along, and you can see that. On a call, 3 seconds of silence can feel like 30.
What's actually happening in most of those silences, though?
Almost always, they're just thinking or writing something down or double-checking a detail. It's rarely about you. But because you can't see it, your brain assumes the worst by default.
So what do? Just wait it out?
A few seconds, yes, just wait. But past that, a light check-in works well. Are you still there? Or, let me know if you want me to repeat any of that. Both are calm, not anxious sounding, and they give the silence a graceful exit either way.
I like let me know if you want me to repeat any of that, especially because it doesn't assume something's wrong. It just offers something useful regardless of why they went quiet, and it costs you nothing if the silence turns out to be completely fine.
Exactly. It works whether they were confused, distracted, or just writing notes. One line, covers every version of the silence.
Let's talk tone next, because this is where phone calls get genuinely tricky. Without a face, how do you even read whether someone's annoyed or just naturally quiet or completely fine?
You start listening for different signals, pace and pitch instead of expressions. A voice that speeds up and gets slightly higher usually means stress or urgency. A voice that goes flatter and slower usually means disengagement or frustration.
And if you think you're picking up something negative, do you name it or just push through?
Name it gently, always better than guessing wrong silently. You sound a little rushed. Is this still a good time? Or should we find another slot? It gives them an easy way out if the timing's actually bad, and it shows you're paying attention if it's not.
That's such a graceful move. You're not accusing them of anything, you're just checking, which is the audio equivalent of reading a facial expression.
Right, because you can't see the wince, so you ask instead.
What about the reverse? Controlling your own tone, because I imagine people who are nervous on a call sound different than they think they do.
Oh, completely. Nervous energy comes through as a higher pitch and a faster pace. And on the phone, that's amplified because it's the only signal the other person's getting. There's no calm expression on your face to balance it out.
So how do you manage that?
Slow down deliberately more than feels natural. What sounds slow to you in your head usually sounds normal on the other end because you're compensating for the missing visual pace cues.
I've actually noticed that recordings of myself always sound calmer than I felt in the moment because I was already slowing down without fully realizing it.
That's the trick working, basically without you noticing.
Let's get into something specific now. What happens when you genuinely don't understand something they said? On video, you might catch it from context or a repeated gesture. On the phone, you've got nothing but the words themselves.
This is where people panic and just say okay to something they didn't actually catch, which is a real trap because you've now agreed to something unclear.
What's the better move?
Sorry, could you say that last part again? The line broke up a bit. Even if the line was perfectly clear, that framing gives you a graceful reason to ask again without it being about your understanding.
That's such a kind lie, honestly. Blaming the connection instead of yourself.
It's a completely accepted social fiction at this point. Everyone knows what it really means, and nobody holds it against you.
Let's talk about the ending now, because I think phone calls end more awkwardly than video calls a lot of the time. On video, there's a natural visual cue. Someone reaches for their mouse, you both know it's wrapping up. On a call, there's no equivalent.
True, you need a verbal version of that same signal, something like, okay, I think that covers everything. I'll send a summary email by end of day. That's the audio version of reaching for the mouse. It clearly signals the wrap-up is starting.
And then?
Then you actually let them close it rather than trailing off yourself. Does that work for you? Hands the ending back to them so it doesn't feel like you just cut it short.
That matters more on a call than on video, I think, because without a face to soften an abrupt ending, it can read as cold if you just say, okay, bye, and hang up.
Completely agree. The close needs to do more work when there's no visual warmth backing it up, since it's carrying the entire final impression on its own, with nothing else supporting it.
Can we talk about group calls specifically, though? Because everything so far has been a one-on-one, and a phone call with 4 or 5 people is a completely different challenge.
Oh, that's a whole extra layer. On video, you can see when someone's about to speak. They lean in, they take a breath, there's a visual cue. On an audio-only group call, you genuinely can't tell who's about to talk, so people either talk over each other or everyone stays silent waiting for someone else to go first.
What's the fix for the talking over each other problem?
Naming yourself before you speak, every single time, even if it feels unnecessary. Something like, "This is Priya. I wanted to add one thing." On video, your face already tells people who's talking. On audio, you have to say it, or people spend the first few seconds just trying to figure out whose voice that is.
That's such a small habit that makes such a big difference. I've been on calls where I genuinely couldn't tell two people apart for the first minute, and it made the whole thing harder to follow.
And for the opposite problem, the silence where nobody wants to go first,
Direct invitation works well there. If you're running the call, name someone specifically. Ryan, what's your take on this? Open questions to the group just produce more silence because everyone's waiting for someone else to break it.
makes sense. On video, you can point or make eye contact or just nod at someone to signal it's their turn. On audio, a direct name is the only version of that available to you.
Let's talk about the technical side too, because bad reception is basically guaranteed at some point, and it's its own specific kind of stressful.
The call breaks up, you catch half a sentence, and you're stuck deciding whether to guess at what you missed or interrupt to ask.
Always ask, right? Don't guess.
Always. Sorry, I lost you for a second. Can you repeat from "the deadline is"? Naming the exact point you lost them is even better than a general "can you repeat that?" because it shows you were following right up until the moment it broke.
That's a nice detail. It proves engagement instead of just admitting confusion.
Exactly. Same principle as the kind lie line from earlier, just more specific.
There's one more scenario I want to hit: delivering bad news on a phone call specifically. No face to soften it, no ability to show empathy visually while you're saying something difficult.
That does sound harder without any visual warmth to lean on.
It is, but the fix is actually just doing verbally what your face would normally do automatically. Slow down before the hard part and name the difficulty out loud instead of letting your tone carry all of it alone. I want to be upfront that this isn't great news, said calmly, before you actually deliver it.
That's like a verbal wince, basically. Preparing them the way a facial expression naturally would on video.
Exactly that. And afterward, pause longer than feels comfortable. On video, you'd naturally let a beat of silence sit while their expression processes it. On a call, you have to consciously build that same pause in yourself, or you'll rush past it and it'll feel careless.
I think people rush past bad news on calls specifically because the silence feels so much heavier without a face to read during it.
Which is exactly backwards. That's when the pause matters most, not least.
One last scenario, and I think this one trips people up more than they'd admit. Voicemail. Nobody practices this, and then you're standing there rambling into a recording with no idea how to end it.
Voicemail genuinely might be scarier than the call itself, honestly, because there's no back and forth at all. It's just you, talking into silence, with zero feedback the entire time.
What's the structure that actually works?
Name, reason, and a clear next step, in that order, kept short. Hi, this is Sarah from the marketing team, calling about tomorrow's deadline. Give me a call back when you get a chance, or I'll follow up by email. Done. You don't need to explain the whole situation into a recording.
That's such a relief to hear framed that simply. I think people over-explain in voicemails specifically because there's no one to stop them or respond.
Exactly. And over-explaining into silence just makes the message longer and harder to follow, not more thorough. Short and structured beats, long and rambling every time.
Let's turn this to you. Do you actually prefer phone calls or video calls at work? And has that changed at all since remote work became normal? Think about why, specifically, not just the general vibe, but the actual reason underneath it.
Here's one to sit with. The next time you're on a call and someone goes quiet, what's your honest first assumption? Do you assume they're thinking, or do you assume something's gone wrong? That instinct says a lot about how you handle uncertainty in general, not just on calls.
And a harder one. When you're nervous on a call, do you actually slow your pace down on purpose? Or does the nervous energy just come through unfiltered? Be honest about which one it actually is, not which one you'd like to believe.
What's your go-to line for asking someone to repeat something without it feeling awkward? Do you have one already, or do you usually just guess and hope you caught enough of it to fake your way through?
On group calls, specifically, do you name yourself before speaking, or do you assume people just recognize your voice? Worth testing that assumption honestly, because it's more common than you'd think that people genuinely can't tell.
Last one. Think about the last phone call you ended. Did you close it clearly, the way we talked about, or did it just kind of trail off? Worth noticing the pattern in how you usually end calls, because it's probably consistent across most of them. Genuinely worth sitting with before we move on.
Let's go back through everything today so it actually sticks. First one, nowhere to hide. The idea behind the whole episode. Sarah, what does that mean here?
It's the core difference between phone and video calls. On the phone, you've lost every visual tool you didn't realize you were leaning on, so your voice alone has to carry the entire impression.
You could use that outside calls too. In that interview, there was nowhere to hide. They wanted a direct answer, not a vague one.
Let's repeat it. Nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide. Next, a graceful exit for the silence. Sarah, take this one.
It's a line that gives an awkward silence somewhere to go, without assuming anything negative about why it happened, like, let me know if you want me to repeat that.
I gave the silence a graceful exit instead of just waiting it out anxiously.
Repeat it, a graceful exit.
A graceful exit. Next, pace and pitch instead of expressions. Sarah, this was the tone reading one.
It's the shift in what you're actually listening for when you can't see a face. How fast someone's talking and how their voice rises or falls tells you what an expression normally would.
I started reading pace and pitch instead of expressions once I realized how much I was missing on calls.
Repeat it with me, pace and pitch instead of expressions.
Pace and pitch instead of expressions. Next, a kind lie. Sarah, this one was about asking someone to repeat themselves.
It's the accepted little fiction of blaming the connection. The line broke up. Instead of admitting you didn't catch something, and everyone quietly understands what it really means.
I used the kind lie about the connection so I could ask her to repeat the number without it being awkward.
Repeat it. A kind lie.
A kind lie. Next, naming yourself before you speak. Sarah, this was the group call one.
It's the habit of saying your own name before contributing on a group audio call, since nobody can see who's talking, and skipping it just leaves everyone guessing whose voice they're hearing.
I started naming myself before you speak on every group call, and people actually follow along so much easier now.
Repeat it. Naming yourself before you speak.
Naming yourself before you speak. Next, reaching for the mouse. The verbal version. Sarah, close this one out for us.
It's the spoken signal that a call is wrapping up, standing in for the visual cue you'd get on video when someone starts reaching for their mouse to end the meeting.
I said my version of reaching for the mouse. I think that covers everything. And the call wrapped up smoothly.
Repeat it. Reaching for the mouse.
Reaching for the mouse. Last one, handing the ending back to them. Sarah?
It's the move of asking, does that work for you? Instead of just closing the call yourself so the other person feels like they had a say in when it actually ended.
I handed the ending back to him instead of just hanging up, and it felt a lot less abrupt.
Repeat it. Handing the ending back to them.
Handing the ending back to them. Next, name, reason, next step. Sarah, close us out with the voicemail one.
It's the three-part structure that keeps a voicemail short and useful instead of a rambling monologue into silence. Who you are, why you're calling, and what should happen next.
I kept it name, reason, next step, and my voicemail was 20 seconds instead of 2 rambling minutes.
Repeat it. Name, reason, next step.
Name, reason, next step. 8 phrases, 1 phone call, and you can use every one of them the next time your calendar shows a call with no camera attached.
Your homework today, before your next work phone call, write down your opening line and your closing line, word for word. Those are the 2 moments with the least room to improvise well, so don't improvise them.
Everything in the middle you can handle live. Just don't leave the first and last 10 seconds to chance. Those are the 2 moments people remember most clearly afterward, whether they realize it or not.
And if your next call happens to be a group 1, add a 3rd line to that list. Your name first intro for whenever you jump in. 3 prepared lines, and the whole call feels a lot less like guesswork.
Small amount of prep, disproportionate amount of confidence, that's basically the whole show in 1 sentence.
And if you happen to be leaving a voicemail sometime soon, practice the name, reason, next step structure out loud once before you dial. It sounds different in your head than it does spoken, every single time.
Genuinely true of almost everything we teach here, honestly. It always sounds better rehearsed once than composed live under pressure.
That's it for today's episode.
If this helped, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. New episodes every week.
This is Sarah.
And this is Ryan.
And you've been listening to Work Fluent.